told your whole life that hard work is the answer. Work harder, work longer, outwork everybody else. And somewhere along the way, you took that idea to heart and built your life around it. You're up early, you stay late, you grind, you sacrifice, you push. And here you are, tired, older, still not where you wanted to be, wondering what you're doing wrong because the hard work you were promised would produce results hasn't actually produced them. Not the way you expected, not the way other people seem to have produced them. Here's the truth. Hard work by itself is no longer enough. It might never have been enough. But certainly today, in the world you actually live in, you cannot grind your way to the life you want with effort alone. Effort is part of the equation. It is not the whole equation. And the part that's missing is what most people never figure out, no matter how many hours they put in. You see, there are people working fewer hours than you who are producing more results. There are people grinding less and earning more. There are people you've watched year after year who seem to coast, and they end up further along than you do. That's not because they're lucky. It's not because the world is unfair. It's because they understand something about work that you haven't been taught. Listen, you have been running an incomplete strategy. The strategy includes hard work, which you've got. It's missing 4 other elements, which you don't. And the 4 other elements are the difference between effort that produces a paycheck and effort that produces a life. Today, I want to walk you through 5 reasons hard work alone isn't getting you where you want to go. And what actually is. Because the gap between those 2 things is the gap between the life you're living and the life you've been working toward. By the end of this, you'll see the pattern clearly, and you'll understand why the harder you've been pushing hasn't been producing more of what you want. Now, before we get into it, you have to understand what the hard work alone strategy is costing you. Because most people, when they think about hard work, think it's the safe bet, the conservative strategy. If I just work harder, eventually I'll get there. They don't see the bill they're paying for that belief. Here's the truth. The bill is your body, your relationships, your sanity, your time, all of it, paid in increments, year after year, into a system that doesn't pay back the way you've been told it does. You give the system your 20s, your 30s, your 40s, and the system gives you a paycheck. The paycheck does not grow at the rate your effort grows. The paycheck barely keeps up with the cost of living. And meanwhile, the things you traded for it, your health, your energy, your time with the people you love, are gone permanently. You see, hard work applied to the wrong things is not safe. It is the most expensive strategy you can run because it eats your one finite resource, your time alive, and produces a result that doesn't match the input. And the longer you run the strategy, the deeper you commit to it. By the time you realize it isn't working, you've already given the system most of what you had to give. And here's what most people don't see. The people who got where you wanted to go didn't get there by working harder than you. Some of them worked less hard. They got there by working differently. They added elements you haven't added. They applied leverage you haven't applied. They developed skills that pay differently than the ones you've been developing. The effort was part of their story. It was not the whole story. You must take this seriously. But here's the truth. You cannot afford to keep running this strategy. Every year you keep running the hard work alone strategy is a year you've paid the full price without buying the full result. And the years compound. By the time you're 60, you've either run the right strategy and gotten somewhere, or run the wrong strategy and arrived, essentially, where you started. Except now you're 60, and the body that would have done the work is no longer the body you have. This is not about working less. It is about understanding that hard work by itself is one ingredient in a recipe with several ingredients. And if you've only been adding the one ingredient, the recipe has not been working. Today, 5 reasons why and what to do instead. You must take this seriously, because the version of you who applies all 5 every single day for the next 10 years is going to be in a place the hard-working, alone version of you could never have reached. Every single day matters. Every year matters. The compounding is what produces the gap. Start applying all 5 today. The first thing you have to understand is that hard work without direction is just exhaustion. It's not progress. It's not building. It's just movement in whatever direction you happen to be facing for as many hours as you can manage. And after a decade of that kind of movement, you can be very tired and have nothing to show for it. You see, most people set their direction once, early in their adult life, and then never revisit it. They picked the job because it was available. They picked the city because someone else was there. They picked the career path because their parents pointed at it. And then they spent the next 30 years grinding inside the path without ever asking whether the path was leading anywhere they actually wanted to go. And here's the truth. If the path is wrong, no amount of speed along it will produce a right destination. You can be the hardest working person on a road that leads to the wrong place. You'll just get to the wrong place faster. The effort doesn't fix the direction. The direction has to be set deliberately by you before the effort starts mattering. The fix is to step back every year and ask the question that almost nobody asks. Am I heading where I actually want to go? Not, am I working hard? You already know the answer to that. But is this path the right path for the life I want to live? If the answer is no, the answer is no. And no amount of additional effort is going to make the path the right one. You must check the compass, not just once, every year. Because life shifts, your priorities change. The thing you wanted at 25 might not be the thing you want at 35. And the path you chose at 25 might no longer match the destination you choose now. If you don't check, you'll keep walking that old path forever, while the destination you actually want drifts further out of reach. This isn't a one-time exercise, it is a discipline. Every year you sit down, you look at the next 10 years. You ask whether the direction you're heading is still the one you want. If yes, you keep going. If no, you adjust. And the adjustment, made at 35, saves you 20 years of going the wrong direction faster. You must do this. Every single day, every single decision you make about how to spend your hours either confirms the path or quietly contradicts it. Most people never do the check. They confuse motion for progress. They feel productive because they're busy. They feel responsible because they're working. But the busy and the working were never separate from the direction. And the direction is what makes the busy mean anything. Get the direction right first, then apply the effort. The order matters more than almost anything else you can learn about how to live. The second thing you must see clearly is that hard work on the wrong things, even within the right direction, is a trap. Because every job, every business, every project has activities that move the needle and activities that don't. And most people, by habit or by avoidance, spend most of their hours on the ones that don't. You see, in any field, there are a few activities that produce most of the results. And there are dozens of activities that feel like work, look like work, exhaust you like work, but produce almost nothing. The high-value activities are usually uncomfortable. They require thinking, deciding, risking, asking, building. The low-value activities are comfortable. They're routine. They feel safe. They keep you busy without forcing you to face anything. And here's the truth. Most people gravitate toward the comfortable activities. They tell themselves they're being productive because they're checking boxes. But the boxes they're checking don't matter. The boxes that would matter are the ones they're avoiding, because facing them would require something. The comfortable boxes don't. You must learn to identify the high-value activities in your work and then ruthlessly protect time for them. Not the easy stuff, the hard stuff, the stuff that, if you did it well, would actually change your trajectory. Most jobs have 1, 2, 3 activities that matter most. The rest is filler. Even highly responsible filler, even necessary filler. But filler, the salesperson who spends their day organizing their files and updating their notes is doing real work that produces no sales. The sales come from the calls, the hard, uncomfortable, vulnerable calls. And the salesperson who spends 2 hours a day making those calls and 6 hours organizing will never beat the salesperson who spends 2 hours organizing and 6 hours calling. You got to find your version of the calls, the version that exists in your specific work, the activity that, if you doubled it, would double your results. And then you protect time for that activity above all else. The other things, the organizing, the filing, the responding, the maintaining, they get whatever time is left over after the important thing has been done. This is going to feel wrong at first. You're going to feel like you're neglecting things. You're going to feel like you should be doing all of it. You're not going to feel productive in the same way. But the metric that matters isn't how productive you feel. It's what you produce. And what you produce comes from the few activities that matter, not from the many that don't. You got to make this shift deliberately. Most people never do. They keep working hard on whatever lands on their plate in the order it lands with equal energy, and they keep getting results in the middle of the bell curve. The shift made deliberately is what moves you to the right side of the curve, where everything different happens. Here's the truth. The third thing you must understand is that hours don't compound. Leverage compounds. And in the modern economy, in any economy actually, but more visibly today, the people producing the biggest results are not the people working the most hours. They're the people who have applied the most leverage to whatever hours they do work. You see, 2 people can work the same 40 hours a week. One of them works without leverage. They show up. They do tasks. They get paid by the hour or by the project. Their output is bounded by their personal hours. There's a ceiling, the number of hours they have, multiplied by what each hour can produce. Nothing can break that ceiling because no leverage has been applied. The other person works with leverage. They use systems that work for them while they sleep. They have people who do work that they themselves direct. They have built something, a business, an audience, a body of work that continues to produce value after they've stopped touching it. Their output isn't bounded by their personal hours. It's bounded by the leverage they've built, which can be much larger. And the difference between those 2 people over a working lifetime is enormous. The first person, the unleveraged worker, has a career-long earning ceiling roughly equal to their hourly rate times their hours. The leveraged person can earn 10 or 100 times that on the same number of hours because their hours are doing more work through the leverage. You must start asking the leverage question in your own work every year. What part of what I do creates an asset that keeps producing after I'm done with it? What part of what I do is just hours for money with nothing left behind? Most jobs are heavy on the second. The shift to leverage work usually requires you to deliberately create something that lives beyond the hour you spent on it. The forms of leverage are not infinite. Money is one, capital that produces returns. Ownership is another. Equity in things that grow. Reputation is a third. Work that produces opportunities long after the work was finished. Audience is a fourth. People who pay attention to you, whose attention has value. Built things, systems, businesses, books are leverage. Anything that keeps producing while you sleep is leverage. You don't have to apply all of them. You have to apply at least one. The person who has applied 0 forms of leverage, even after 30 years of hard work, is going to be in roughly the same position as somebody who applied none for 15 years. Because the unleveraged hours don't add up to anything that compounds. You must pick the form of leverage that fits your life. You cannot keep working without one. Then put deliberate work into building it alongside the regular grind. Over years, the leverage starts producing. And then somewhere, the leverage output overtakes the hourly output. And the math of your life flips into a category that the hours-only version of you could never have reached. The fourth thing you must accept is the hardest, because it requires accepting that the skill you've been building might not have been the right skill. Not all skills are equal. Some skills compound, some don't. Some are paid in increments. Some are paid in multiples. And the difference over a working lifetime is enormous. You see, most people pick a skill early in life, usually by accident, based on what was available or what their parents did or what their teachers steered them toward, and they spend the next 30 years getting better at that skill. But the skill they picked might be one of the kind that doesn't pay disproportionately, no matter how good you get at it. You can become the best in the world at something that the market doesn't reward, and the reward will still be modest. Meanwhile, the skills that pay disproportionately, communication, leadership, sales, judgment, building, the ability to organize other people's work, those skills can be developed by anybody. They don't require a specific background. They require deliberate practice over years. But almost nobody deliberately develops them because almost nobody recognizes them as the high leverage skills they are. Let me tell you about a man I once knew. He had worked construction for 20 years by the time I met him. Hard worker, strong, reliable. The kind of guy who showed up before everybody else and stayed after everybody else left. He took pride in his work. He was good with his hands. He knew his trade, and by 45, his body was wrecked. His knees hurt, his back hurt. He had to ice himself every night just to be able to do the next day. And his hourly rate, which had increased slowly over 20 years, was still not enough to put away serious savings. He had given the work his body. The work had paid him in tired evenings and a paycheck that kept pace with inflation, but not with his ambition. He came to me, frustrated. He said, "I've been working harder than anybody on my crew for 2 decades. Why am I still here?" And I asked him a different question. I asked him, "What skill have you been deliberately developing for those 20 years? His answer, carpentry. I said, The carpentry has gotten you a hammer in your hands every day for 2 decades. Has it gotten you any other position? He said no. And I am telling you, this is the conversation that changed his life. I told him, the skill you've been building doesn't pay disproportionately. It pays linearly. You get better at it, you get a small raise. You're as good as you're going to get with it, and the rate is the rate. If you want a different outcome, you need to develop a different skill, one that pays disproportionately. Learn to manage projects, learn to estimate jobs, learn to talk to clients, learn to run a crew. He started. He paid attention to the project managers on his jobs. He asked them questions. He volunteered to help with the parts of the work that weren't hands-on. He took a course on construction estimating. He read books about leading teams. Within 2 years, he wasn't swinging the hammer anymore. He was running the project, and his pay had gone up 4 times. He told me after 20 years of swinging a hammer didn't produce a manager. 1 year of learning to manage produced a manager. The skill was the variable. The hours weren't the variable. He could have learned that skill at 25. He'd been working hard the whole time on the wrong skill for the outcome he wanted. The 5th thing is that, in the long run, what makes the biggest difference in your earnings, your freedom, and your impact is whether you have a multiplier. Effort applied to skill, applied to leverage, produces output. But output without a multiplier means you have to keep producing it forever. With a multiplier, the output keeps producing without you. You see, the multiplier is what separates somebody who makes a good living from somebody who builds wealth. The good earner trades their hours for money at a high rate. They earn well as long as they keep showing up. The minute they stop, the money stops. Their income has no multiplier on it. The wealth builder, on the other hand, has set up something that produces income whether they're working or not. The business they own, the book they wrote, the investments they made, the relationships they cultivated that now produce referrals. The reputation that opens doors years after they stopped pushing on them. All of those are multipliers. They multiply the effort that originally created them again and again, long after the effort itself has been spent. Here's the truth. Most people never build a multiplier. They spend their whole career trading hours for money, getting slightly better rates as they go, and end up with a moderate income and no real wealth. They worked hard. They worked smart even. But they never built the thing that would have kept paying them after they stopped pushing. You must build at least one multiplier, even if it takes a decade, even if the early years produce nothing visible. The multiplier is the thing that will carry you when the hours can no longer do the work. It doesn't have to be a huge business. It doesn't have to be a famous book. It can be a small ownership stake, a modest portfolio, a side project that grows over years into something with its own life. A skill that's so rare, it produces inbound demand. Anything that produces output that's larger than the input you originally put into it. The multiplier takes years to build, decades often, which is why most people don't build one. The time horizon scares them off. They want results this quarter. They want to see the impact immediately. The multiplier doesn't work that way. It takes years of unattractive work before it starts producing. And during those years, the people just trading hours for money look like they're winning because they're earning more in the short term. But the math reverses over time. The hour trader is still trading hours at 50. The multiplier builder at 50 has something that produces while they sleep. By 60, the difference is enormous. By 70, the difference is the difference between 2 completely different lives. I'm telling you, the multiplier is the variable that produces the outcome most people want and almost nobody actually pursues. Pick yours. Start building it now, even if the early years look slow. By the time you're 40, 50, 60, the multiplier is what carries you. And the hard work that you put into it, instead of into more hours, will have been the best use of your effort you could have made. So here is the inversion you have to make. Hard work is necessary. It always was. It's still necessary, but it is not sufficient. And the conventional wisdom, work hard, you'll get there, has been incomplete this whole time. It needed to be paired with 4 other things, and those 4 things were rarely taught because the people teaching them were busy living their leveraged lives instead of explaining how they got there. The 4 other things are direction, focus on high-value activities, leverage, and the right skills. Hard work, applied through those 4 filters, produces outsized results. Hard work, applied without them, produces a job. And a job is fine, but a job is not what you wanted. You wanted something different. You can have something different, but you have to apply the 4 other elements. You got to start with direction. Every year you check your compass. Where am I headed? Is it where I want to go? Adjust if needed. Don't apply effort until the direction is correct, because effort in the wrong direction is the most expensive mistake you can make. Then focus. Inside the right direction, find the few activities that actually produce results. Most of your work, most of your time on those few activities. Everything else in second priority. The shift from being busy to being effective happens here. Then build leverage. You got to pick a form, even if you're not sure which one fits yet. Start with the one that feels most accessible to you. Money, ownership, reputation, audience, built things. Pick one that fits your situation and put deliberate work into building it alongside the regular work. Over years, the leverage produces independent output. The output starts running on its own. Then develop the right skills. Identify the high leverage skills in your field. Spend a year or 2 getting deliberately better at one of them. Stack the skills over time until you have a combination that almost nobody else has. And underneath all of that, work hard. The hard work is still part of the equation, but it's applied through the 4 other elements. So the effort produces an outcome the effort alone could never have produced. The hard work in this configuration becomes something else. It becomes investment. Time put into things that compound. That's the whole reframe. Stop relying on effort to be the answer. Use effort as one of the 5 answers. The 5 together produce a life that one alone never could. And you don't need more effort to apply the other 4. You need different effort, directed differently, applied to different things. So, here is what I want you to carry with you. Hard work by itself is the most overrated answer to most people's life problems. Not because hard work is bad, because hard work alone was never the full answer. And the people who told you it was were telling you what they were taught, not what was actually true. The real answer is hard work, plus direction, plus focus on high-value activities, plus leverage, plus the right skills. 5 elements, all of them necessary, none of them sufficient on its own. Apply all 5 over the course of a working life, and you get a result that the 1-element version of you would have thought impossible. And here's the truth. The people who got the results you've been working toward applied all 5. They didn't apply more effort than you. They applied effort across more dimensions. They directed it. They focused it. They multiplied it. They develop the right skills to apply it through. And the cumulative effect was a life that, from the outside, looks like luck. From the inside, it was the deliberate application of 5 elements, sustained for decades. You must add the other 4. The one you've been running, hard work, is already in place. Add direction. Check your compass every year. Add focus. Identify the activities that produce most of your results and ruthlessly protect time for them. Add leverage. Build something that produces value without you. Add the right skills. Deliberately develop one high leverage skill every year, stacked on top of what you already have. Look, every single day you apply all 5 elements is a day that compounds. Within 5 years, your work will look very different. Not because you're working harder, because the same effort is now being applied through the 4 other elements. Within 10 years, the trajectory of your life will be unrecognizable from the trajectory you'd have had on hard work alone. That version of you is available. The path is right there. It doesn't require more grinding. It requires a different configuration of the grinding you're already doing. Apply the configuration, run it for 10 years, watch the outcome. The hard work that used to produce a paycheck will start producing a life. And the life it produces will be exactly the one you've been working for all along, without quite knowing why you weren't getting there. You must take this seriously. The years you have left to apply these 5 elements are limited. Every year you spend running just the one, just hard work alone, is a year you cannot get back. Add the 4 other elements. Start tomorrow. Watch your trajectory bend slowly over the next decade into a life the hard-working alone version of you could never have reached. The grind was never going to be enough by itself. Pair it with the 4. Then the grind starts producing what you always thought it should have. The world you live in pays for direction and leverage and skill stacking and multipliers. Hard work alone gets a paycheck. Hard work plus the 4 gets a life. something you've been waiting for years that is never coming. And the longer you wait, the more of your life passes unlived. The thing you're waiting for is permission. Not from any one specific person. Most of the time, you couldn't even name who you're waiting on. Just permission. A green light from somewhere. A signal that says it's okay now. You can finally do the thing. And here's the truth. The signal isn't coming. It was never coming. Nobody's going to walk into your life and tell you it's okay now. The waiting was always going to have to end without that. The only question is whether you end it today or in a decade or never. You've been watching a door that nobody's ever going to walk through. And while you've been watching, the life you wanted to live has been quietly waiting for you to stop watching. You see, most adults are walking around with at least one big thing they've been wanting to do. Start a business, leave a job, write a book, end a relationship, move to a new city, make a major change. And underneath that wanting, there is a permission they're quietly waiting for. From their parents, from their spouse, from their friends, from the culture, from God, from someone somewhere who they imagine could authorize the move and make it okay. That permission is a fiction. Nobody has the authority to give you permission for your own life. Not your parents, not your friends, not the experts, not the loudest voices in your head. Permission for your life is something only you can give. And the only reason you haven't given it is because you've been waiting for somebody else to give it first. Today, I want to walk you through why you must stop waiting. 5 things you have to understand about the permission trap. By the end, you'll see clearly why no one is coming. And if you take it seriously, you'll start today giving yourself the permission that was always going to have to come from you in the first place. You cannot keep waiting, not because the waiting is dramatic, because the waiting is silent, and the silence is what makes it dangerous. You don't notice the years going by while you wait, but they go by. Every single day, more of your one life goes by. And the version of you who gives permission and acts is the version that gets to live the rest of it. Now, before we get into it, you have to understand what the waiting is actually costing you. Because most people don't count this cost. They think they're being prudent. They think they're being responsible. They think they're being patient. They're not. They're hemorrhaging time. And they don't realize it because the time leaves quietly, day by day, without any single day feeling like it mattered. Here's the truth. Every year you spend waiting for permission is a year subtracted from the life you would have lived if you had given yourself permission. And those years don't come back. The version of you who started the business at 30 has 30 years of compounded effort by the time they're 60. The version of you who started at 50 has 10 years. The thing they built is going to look very different. Not because one of them was smarter, because one of them gave themselves permission earlier, and the other spent 20 years waiting on a signal that was never going to arrive. You see, the wait feels active when you're inside it. You're thinking about the thing. You're preparing. You're researching. You're imagining how it'll go. You feel like you're getting ready, working on yourself, getting your ducks in a row. But all of that, from the outside, looks exactly like nothing. Because nothing was actually done. The waiting was performed as if it were preparation. It wasn't preparation. It was just waiting. And the cost compounds. Each year you wait, you have one less year ahead of you. You also have one more year of having waited, which makes starting harder because now there's more invested in the not starting. You become defensive of the wait. You start telling yourself it was wise. You start judging the people who didn't wait. You build a whole identity around being the careful, prudent, thoughtful person, when really you've just been the scared, deferring, never quite ready person, dressed up in better sounding language. Listen, you must reckon with this cost honestly. The cost is not just the thing you didn't do. The cost is the person you didn't become. Because the person who gives themselves permission and acts becomes somebody different. They develop a capacity that doesn't exist in the deferring version of you. And that capacity, once developed, would have been with you for every other decision you might have made. But the deferring version of you doesn't have it, has never had it, will never have it until the day you stop waiting and start giving yourself the permission. That day can be today, or it can be 10 years from now. The you who waits another 10 years and the you who starts today are not the same person. The difference between them is everything. I am telling you, this is the cost most people never count. They count the obvious things: money, comfort, security. They don't count the years they spent waiting. They don't count the person they didn't become. They don't count the relationship with themselves that quietly soured because they kept failing to keep their own deepest promise. The cost of the wait is the largest cost of your life, and it is being paid every single day that the wait continues. The first thing you must see clearly is that the permission you've been waiting for was never going to come from anyone, ever, because the people you've been waiting on don't have the authority to give it, even if they wanted to. And even when they offer something that sounds like permission, it isn't really permission, it's just an opinion, dressed up to look like something it's not. You see, your parents can't give you permission for your life. They have their own lives. They have opinions, often strong ones, about what you should do. But their opinions aren't permission. They're just opinions. If your parents say yes, and you do the thing and it fails, you cannot send them the bill. You are still going to live with the consequences. Their yes didn't actually mean anything in the world where the consequences play out. Your spouse can't give you permission for your life either. Your spouse is a partner. They get a say in things that affect both of you. But the deep choices, the ones about who you become, what you pursue, what you risk, those choices are yours. You can make them in conversation with your spouse, but the authority remains with you. The permission cannot be delegated to them. Here's the truth. There is no authority structure above you that has the power to authorize your own life. Not parents, not bosses, not religious leaders, not the culture, not the experts. Every one of those voices has opinions. None of them has the actual authority you've been imagining. You've been waiting on a court that doesn't exist for a ruling that nobody is empowered to give. You must accept this. The proof is simple. Imagine your parents called you tomorrow and said, "We want you to start the business. We bless this. We give you permission. Would you go do it?" Most people, when they imagine this, realize they would still hesitate. Because the permission, when given, wouldn't have produced the action. The waiting wasn't really about permission. It was about something else, hiding behind the permission. What it was hiding was your own decision, your own willingness, your own readiness to be the one making the call. And nobody else's words can substitute for that. No matter how loud, no matter how loving, no matter how authoritative they sound. You must see this clearly. The permission you've been waiting for was a fiction your mind constructed to delay the moment you'd have to take responsibility for your own choices And as long as the fiction holds, you can keep delaying. The day the fiction breaks is the day you realize you've been waiting on yourself the whole time while pretending to wait on somebody else. That day is a hard day. It's also the day the rest of your life becomes possible, because once the fiction is broken, the wait ends. And once the wait ends, the doing can begin, finally. The second thing to understand is that the wait itself is the trap. It isn't a path to action. It isn't a setup phase before the doing starts. It's a self-perpetuating state that gets harder to leave the longer you stay in it. And most people, by the time they figure this out, have wasted decades in it. You see, the wait has a property that most people never notice. It feeds itself. The longer you wait, the more reasons you accumulate for continuing to wait. You're older now, which means the cost of failure is higher. You've waited so long, which means you must have had good reasons. The thing you wanted to do feels less urgent because you've been wanting it for years without doing it. And every passing year adds another reason to keep waiting, until eventually the wait isn't even about the original permission anymore. It's about justifying all the years you've already waited, because to start now would be to acknowledge you could have started years ago. And that acknowledgement is painful, so the wait continues to avoid having to face it. Here's the truth. The wait was never neutral. It was always taking from you, taking time, taking energy, taking the version of you who would have existed if you had started, and it doesn't stop taking. It keeps taking every day for the rest of your life if you let it. The wait does not end on its own. It ends only when you end it deliberately and break out of the pattern. You got to see the wait clearly for what it is. It's not preparation. It's not patience. It's not wisdom. It's avoidance. Sometimes deeply intelligent, sophisticated avoidance with a lot of plausible sounding language wrapped around it. But underneath the language, it's still avoidance. And the longer you let it run, the more of your one life you spend not living. The fix isn't to wait better. It isn't to wait more efficiently. It isn't to find the perfect moment to stop waiting. The fix is to break the wait today with a single action that you take in the direction of the thing you've been waiting permission to do. Not the whole thing. One step, one real concrete, visible step. You see, the first step is what kills the wait. Because once you've taken one step, you've changed your relationship with the thing. You're no longer waiting for permission to start. You've started crudely, imperfectly, badly, but started. And the started version of you cannot resume the wait the way the unstarted version could. The first step is everything. It is the breaking of the spell. It is the act that turns a fantasy into a reality you're now responsible for shaping. And nobody can take the first step for you. Nobody can authorize you to take it. You must authorize yourself. You take the step, and then the wait finally ends. The third thing is something you must look at honestly, because it might be uncomfortable. The people who have what you want, the businesses, the freedom, the work, the lives, those people didn't get permission either. They just gave it to themselves. That's the secret. There is no other secret. And every story you've heard about how someone got to where they are includes somewhere the moment they stopped waiting on anybody else's blessing. Here's the truth. The person who started the business that you've been planning for 10 years didn't have something you don't have. They didn't have more talent. They didn't have more luck. They didn't have more support. They had less waiting. That's the whole difference. And they just decided at some point that they were going to act without permission, and then they acted. You see, most success stories are told as if the person was special in some way that made the success possible. They were brilliant. They were visionary. They had the right idea at the right time. Almost none of that is true. What was true in almost every case was that the person was willing to act without external permission. They didn't wait for the right moment. They didn't wait for the perfect plan. They didn't wait for someone to tell them they could. They just started, often badly, often without a clear plan, often without knowing whether it would work. But they started, and then they kept going. And then, eventually, they had built something. Not because they were special, but because they had been doing something for a long time while everybody else was still waiting. I am telling you, this is the part most people never accept. They want to believe the people who got there had something extra. Because if those people had something extra, then the people who didn't get there have an excuse. They couldn't have gotten there. They didn't have the special thing. They were waiting on the special thing to arrive, and it never did. But the special thing was never the difference. The difference was the permission. The people who got there gave it to themselves. The people who didn't have been waiting on someone else to give it. And while the first group was building, the second group was waiting. By year 10, year 20, year 30, the gap is enormous. Not because of talent, because one group acted and the other group waited. You must let go of the idea that other people had something you don't. They didn't. They just did the one thing you've been refusing to do. They authorized themselves. Once you accept that, the path opens up. Not because anything in your circumstances changes. Because the only thing standing between you and what they have is the wait. And the wait. The path is already there. It always was. The fourth thing is what's underneath all of this. Because the waiting isn't really about permission. The permission was just a cover. Underneath the waiting is a fear, and the fear is what you actually have to face. If you don't face it, no amount of intellectual understanding about permission is going to free you. The fear will keep producing new excuses to wait. The fear is the fear of responsibility. If you wait for permission and the permission never comes, you can blame the permission givers. They didn't give you the green light. That's why you couldn't go. The blame lives outside of you. Your life is on hold because of them, not because of you. And as long as the blame lives outside of you, you can keep your self-image intact. But if you give yourself permission and you act and the thing fails, the blame is yours, nobody else's. You can't point anywhere outside yourself. You authorized it. You did it. It didn't work. The failure is yours to carry. And most people would rather not have what they want than risk owning the failure of having tried for it. Let me tell you about somebody. I once knew a man who, for almost his whole adult life, wanted to start a business of his own. He had ideas, he had skills, he had savings. He had the basic capacity to do the thing, but he never did. Year after year, he stayed at his job. Year after year, he told himself it wasn't quite the right time. Year after year, the business stayed an idea. If you had asked him what he was waiting for, he could not have told you cleanly. He would have said something about timing, or about getting his ducks in a row, or about needing to learn more first. But underneath all of those answers, there was a quieter answer he had never said out loud. He was waiting for his father to bless the idea. His father had been a careful, conservative lifetime employee, a man who valued security above everything. And my friend had been quietly waiting for 30 years for his father to look at him and say, "Yes, go do this. I see you. I bless this. I trust you to do it. The blessing was never coming because his father didn't believe in that kind of risk. So the wait continued year after year without my friend ever quite admitting what he was waiting for. Then his father died. He was 55 years old. The night of the funeral, sitting alone in his car in the parking lot, he had a realization that hit him like a brick. He had been waiting for permission from a man who could not have given it, even if he had been asked. The permission was never available. It was never possible. He had been waiting on a door that was never going to open for 30 years. He started the business that month, not in some triumphant moment of liberation, but quietly, with a small first step. He registered the name. He took a meeting. He made a phone call. The wait had ended, not because he had finally gotten the blessing, but because he had finally accepted that the blessing was never coming and he was going to have to go anyway. 5 years later, the business was real. He had built something. It wasn't huge. It wasn't a dramatic success story, but it existed. He was running it. He was living the life he had wanted for 3 decades. He told me years later that the saddest thing about the whole experience was that he could have started it at 25. He had been ready then. He had been capable then. He had had the same skills, the same savings, the same fundamental capacity. The only thing missing had been the permission, and the permission was never going to come. And he had spent 30 years waiting on something that did not exist. He gave himself the permission finally in his 50s. He told me, I wish I had known at 25 that I was the only one who could ever have given it. The fifth thing is the part that matters after you've broken the weight, because the breaking is just the beginning. Giving yourself permission is not a single act. It's a practice. You have to keep doing it. Week after week, year after year. Especially when other people try, quietly or loudly, to take the permission back. You see, the world is full of people who are uncomfortable with somebody else giving themselves permission. Because if you can do it, they can too. And if they could, but they aren't, then their weight is exposed for what it is. So they have a quiet investment in your weight. They don't necessarily say so, but they pull subtly in the direction of you continuing to wait. They raise concerns. They ask careful questions. They mention risks. They share their doubts. And if you don't keep giving yourself permission, the pull will eventually return you to the weight. Maybe not all the way, but enough to slow you down. Enough to put the doubt back in. Enough to make you wonder whether you should have waited longer. And the wondering, once it sets in, is hard to shake. Here's the truth. You got to reauthorize yourself every single week in some quiet, deliberate way. Not dramatically. Just a steady, private affirmation that the permission you gave yourself is still in effect. That you are still going. That you have not revoked the green light, no matter what anybody around you might be saying or thinking. This is especially important during the hard months, because every meaningful pursuit has hard months. Stretches where nothing is working. Stretches where everybody around you seems to be doing better. Stretches where the original permission feels harder to remember. Those are the times when the practice of re-permitting matters most. You must sit with yourself quietly. You remember why you started. You acknowledge that the hardness is real and that hardness was always going to be part of the path. And you reauthorize the next step. Just the next step. You don't have to reauthorize the whole project. Just the action you're going to take this week. That step is allowed. You give yourself permission for it. and then you take it. Over the years, every single day, this practice becomes who you are. You become somebody who doesn't need external permission for the things that matter. You give yourself the green light every week, as a matter of course. And the people around you, the culture around you, the voices in your head, none of them have the power they used to have, because you have practiced thousands of times sourcing the permission from inside yourself. That practice is the deepest skill you can develop. It outlasts every specific pursuit. It carries you into the next thing, and the next, and the next, for the rest of your life. So here is the inversion. Stop watching the door. The door is not going to open. The person you've been waiting for is not coming through it. Probably never even knew you were waiting. The door was always going to stay closed because there was no one behind it whose job was to open it for you. Turn around. The thing you've been waiting permission to do is right there behind you where it has been the whole time. You don't have to get permission to walk toward it. You just have to start walking. But here's the truth. You don't have to do it perfectly. You don't have to have a plan. You don't have to know if it'll work. You don't have to be ready. The waiting was supposed to produce readiness, and it didn't. 20 years of waiting produced exactly 0 additional readiness. You are as ready now as you were going to be. The wait was a delay tactic, not a preparation phase. So you start today with one small action in the direction of the thing. Make the call. Write the first page. Take the meeting. Sign up for the course. Talk to the person. Whatever the smallest possible move would be, you make that move. Today. Not next week. Today. The smallness of the first move is the point. You don't have to upend your whole life today. You have to take one step in a direction you've been refusing to step in for years. The one step changes everything, not because it's a big step, but because it's a step. The not stepping was the problem. The stepping is the fix. And once you've stepped, you've broken the spell. You're no longer somebody waiting for permission. You're somebody who's started. The wait is over. The doing has begun. From there, you keep going, one step at a time, reauthorizing yourself every week. Building, slowly, what you've been wanting to build for years. That's the whole reframe. Stop looking for someone else to give you permission. Give it to yourself. The permission was always yours to give. You just had to stop pretending it was somebody else's. And the day you stop pretending is the day your real life finally has a chance to begin. Not the imagined real life that was always going to start once you got permission. The actual real life, made of actual choices you make, actual actions you take, actual consequences you live with. That life is available. It always was. You just had to give yourself permission to step into it. So here's what I want you to carry with you. Somewhere in your life, there's a thing you've been waiting permission to do. Maybe you can name it. Maybe you can't. But it's there, quiet, underneath everything else. And it has been waiting for you to give it the green light. That permission isn't coming from anywhere else. Not from your parents, your spouse, your friends, your boss, the culture, your past, your future, or your imagination of what other people would think. The permission was always going to have to come from you. And the only reason you haven't given it is because somewhere, somehow, you've been convinced that it wasn't yours to give. It is. It always was. Everybody who has ever lived a life they wanted to live, lived it by giving themselves permission to live it. They didn't get authorization. They didn't get a special green light. They just gave themselves their own, and then they went, and the life followed. You can be one of those people The decision is right in front of you today. With one specific thing you have been deferring, you can give yourself permission for that thing. You can stop waiting for someone else to bless it. You can take one small step toward it in the next hour, in the next day, in this week. And the step changes everything. Not because the step itself is big, because the step ends the wait. And once the wait is over, the doing begins. And the doing produces, slowly over years, the life you have been quietly wanting to live. I am telling you, the version of you who waits another year is going to be sitting in this same place a year from now, with one less year on the clock, with the same thing still undone, with another year of practice at deferring, which makes it harder to stop deferring next time. You cannot afford that year. The version of you who decides today, who gives yourself permission, who takes the small step, that version is going to be living a different life by next year. Not a perfect life, not a guaranteed life, but a real one, made of real choices you finally made. You must give yourself permission today. Take the step. Every single day from now on, you give it to yourself again. Let the rest of your actual life finally begin. The wait was the prison. The permission is the key. You have had it the whole time. Use it now. Today. Before another year goes by while you watch the door that nobody is ever going to walk through. The same fundamental capacity. The only thing missing had been the permission, and the permission was never going to come. And he had spent 30 years waiting on something that did not exist. He gave himself the permission finally in his 50s. He told me, I wish I had known at 25 that I was the only one who could ever have given it. The fifth thing is the part that matters after you've broken the weight, because the breaking is just the beginning. Giving yourself permission is not a single act. It's a practice. You have to keep doing it. Week after week, year after year. Especially when other people try, quietly or loudly, to take the permission back. You see, the world is full of people who are uncomfortable with somebody else giving themselves permission. Because if you can do it, they can too. And if they could, but they aren't, then their weight is exposed for what it is. So they have a quiet investment in your weight. They don't necessarily say so, but they pull subtly in the direction of you continuing to wait. They raise concerns. They ask careful questions. They mention risks. They share their doubts. And if you don't keep giving yourself permission, the pull will eventually return you to the weight. Maybe not all the way, but enough to slow you down. Enough to put the doubt back in. Enough to make you wonder whether you should have waited longer. And the wondering, once it sets in, is hard to shake. Here's the truth. You got to reauthorize yourself every single week in some quiet, deliberate way. Not dramatically. Just a steady, private affirmation that the permission you gave yourself is still in effect. That you are still going. That you have not revoked the green light, no matter what anybody around you might be saying or thinking. This is especially important during the hard months. Because every meaningful pursuit has hard months. Stretches where nothing is working. Stretches where everybody around you seems to be doing better. Stretches where the original permission feels harder to remember. Those are the times when the practice of re-permitting matters most. You must sit with yourself quietly. You remember why you started. You acknowledge that the hardness is real and that hardness was always going to be part of the path. And you reauthorize the next step. Just the next step. You don't have to reauthorize the whole project. Just the action you're going to take this week. That step is allowed. You give yourself permission for it, and then you take it. Over the years, every single day, this practice becomes who you are. You become somebody who doesn't need external permission for the things that matter. You give yourself the green light every week, as a matter of course. And the people around you, the culture around you, the voices in your head, none of them have the power they used to have. Because you have practiced thousands of times sourcing the permission from inside yourself. That practice is the deepest skill you can develop. It outlasts every specific pursuit. It carries you into the next thing, and the next, and the next, for the rest of your life. So here is the inversion. Stop watching the door. The door is not going to open. The person you've been waiting for is not coming through it. Probably never even knew you were waiting. The door was always going to stay closed because there was no one behind it whose job was to open it for you. Turn around. The thing you've been waiting permission to do is right there behind you where it has been the whole time. You don't have to get permission to walk toward it. You just have to start walking. But here's the truth. You don't have to do it perfectly. You don't have to have a plan. You don't have to know if it'll work. You don't have to be ready. The waiting was supposed to produce readiness, and it didn't. 20 years of waiting produced exactly 0 additional readiness. You are as ready now as you were going to be. The wait was a delay tactic, not a preparation phase. So you start today with one small action in the direction of the thing. Make the call. Write the first page. Take the meeting. Sign up for the course. Talk to the person. Whatever the smallest possible move would be, you make that move. Today. Not next week. Today. The smallness of the first move is the point. You don't have to upend your whole life today. You have to take one step in a direction you've been refusing to step in for years. The one step changes everything, not because it's a big step, but because it's a step. The not stepping was the problem. The stepping is the fix. And once you've stepped, you've broken the spell. You're no longer somebody waiting for permission. You're somebody who's started. The wait is over. The doing has begun. From there, you keep going, one step at a time, reauthorizing yourself every week. Building, slowly, what you've been wanting to build for years. That's the whole reframe. Stop looking for someone else to give you permission. Give it to yourself. The permission was always yours to give. You just had to stop pretending it was somebody else's. And the day you stop pretending is the day your real life finally has a chance to begin. Not the imagined real life that was always going to start once you got permission. The actual real life, made of actual choices you make, actual actions you take, actual consequences you live with. That life is available. It always was. You just had to give yourself permission to step into it. So here's what I want you to carry with you. Somewhere in your life, there's a thing you've been waiting permission to do. Maybe you can name it. Maybe you can't. But it's there, quiet, underneath everything else. And it has been waiting for you to give it the green light. That permission isn't coming from anywhere else. Not from your parents, your spouse, your friends, your boss, the culture, your past, your future, or your imagination of what other people would think. The permission was always going to have to come from you. And the only reason you haven't given it is because somewhere, somehow, you've been convinced that it wasn't yours to give. It is. It always was. Everybody who has ever lived a life they wanted to live, lived it by giving themselves permission to live it. They didn't get authorization. They didn't get a special green light. They just gave themselves their own, and then they went, and the life followed. You can be one of those people. The decision is right in front of you today. With one specific thing you have been deferring, you can give yourself permission for that thing. You can stop waiting for someone else to bless it. You can take one small step toward it in the next hour, in the next day, in this week. And the step changes everything. Not because the step itself is big, because the step ends the wait. And once the wait is over, the doing begins. And the doing produces, slowly over years, the life you have been quietly wanting to live. I am telling you, the version of you who waits another year is going to be sitting in this same place a year from now, with one less year on the clock, with the same thing still undone, with another year of practice at deferring, which makes it harder to stop deferring next time. You cannot afford that year. The version of you who decides today, who gives yourself permission, who takes the small step, that version is going to be living a different life by next year. Not a perfect life, not a guaranteed life, but a real one, made of real choices you finally made. You must give yourself permission today. Take the step. Every single day from now on, you give it to yourself again. Let the rest of your actual life finally begin. The wait was the prison. The permission is the key. You have had it the whole time. Use it now. Today. Before another year goes by while you watch the door that nobody is ever going to walk through.
I begin each day with discipline, clear purpose, integrity, and gratitude. I focus only on what I can influence, and I take deliberate action daily. I reflect, journal, and learn from each day so I improve tomorrow. I learn and teach every day, sharpening my judgment and understanding. I show up intentionally as a husband, a father, a son, and a brother. I take responsibility for the impact of my decisions on others. I train my body daily with discipline and respect for long-term health. I am becoming a capable managing director who understands business. I am building long-term financial stability through competence and integrity. I act with gratitude, humility, and a commitment to give back. I am becoming someone who does high-intensity interval training every single week. I take time to recognize what I am grateful for every day. I visualize success every day so I know what I'm moving towards. I begin each day with discipline, clear purpose, integrity, and gratitude. I focus only on what I can influence, and I take deliberate action daily. I reflect, journal, and learn from each day so I improve tomorrow. I learn and teach every day, sharpening my judgment and understanding. I show up intentionally as a husband, a father, a son, and a brother. I take responsibility for the impact of my decisions on others. I train my body daily with discipline and respect for long-term health. I am becoming a capable managing director who understands business. I am building long-term financial stability through competence and integrity. I act with gratitude, humility, and a commitment to give back. I am becoming someone who does high-intensity interval training every single week. I take time to recognize what I am grateful for every day. I visualize success every day so I know what I'm moving towards. I begin each day with discipline, clear purpose, integrity, and gratitude. I focus only on what I can influence, and I take deliberate action daily. I reflect, journal, and learn from each day so I improve tomorrow. I learn and teach every day, sharpening my judgment and understanding. I show up intentionally as a husband, a father, a son, and a brother. I take responsibility for the impact of my decisions on others. I train my body daily with discipline and respect for long-term health. I am becoming a capable managing director who understands business. building long-term financial stability through competence and integrity. I act with gratitude, humility, and a commitment to give back. I am becoming someone who does high-intensity interval training every single week. I take time to recognize what I am grateful for every day. I visualize success every day so I know what I'm moving towards. I begin each day with discipline, clear purpose, integrity, and gratitude. I focus only on what I can influence, and I take deliberate action daily. I reflect, journal, and learn from each day so I improve tomorrow. I learn and teach every day, sharpening my judgment and understanding. I show up intentionally as a husband, a father, a son, and a brother. I take responsibility for the impact of my decisions on others. I train my body daily with discipline and respect for long-term health. I am becoming a capable managing director who understands business. I am building long-term financial stability through competence and integrity. I act with gratitude, humility, and a commitment to give back. I am becoming someone who does high-intensity interval training every single week. I take time to recognize what I am grateful for every day. I visualize success every day so I know what I'm moving towards. I begin each day with discipline, clear purpose, integrity, and gratitude. I focus only on what I can influence, and I take deliberate action daily. I reflect, journal, and learn from each day so I improve tomorrow. I learn and teach every day, sharpening my judgment and understanding. I show up intentionally as a husband, a father, a son, and a brother. Day 159.